Hello, beautiful people. Deke, Sharon coming to you again from Camp Acapella in this new season of Too Many Notes. Another great question from a listener, which is basically, Deke, I want to keep singing a cappella, but my buddies, my cohorts, the people I want to sing with are in completely different states. Is it possible to create a group that's remote a cappella? The answer is yes. You too can join the remote a cappella revolution, but there are a few parameters and things you should really be thinking about before you get your group started. So let me lay those out for you. The number one thing that you really want to think about is some kind of a communal or shared experience and perspective. Now, that can either come from you having sung together a bunch in high school, sung together a bunch in college, so you know each other's voices, you have a sense of the phrasing, and you naturally link together the way the upper voices and pentatonics went to high school together and they just already started with a blend on day one of the sing-off, right? Or if you're choosing a style of a cappella that already exists. So if you're thinking of doing vocal jazz, if you're thinking of doing barbershop, you're thinking of doing like a straight ahead pop rock a cappella group, you kind of know what that is. That's in the air, that's in the ethos, the phrasing, the perspective, all the things you need to do, it's out there. That is a much easier place to start from. If you're thinking, oh, we want to start remotely, we're not all together, we haven't met before, and we want to try to pioneer a completely different style of a cappella, that's going to be a heavy lift. The next thing I'd say is, when you've got a group like this that exists, you're all going to have to work hard on your own. You're going to have to learn your music on your own. You're going to have to do the business stuff for your group together, alone, on your own. So it requires a measure of being self-motivated and also having good open communication lines between the different people in the group. So like, hey, I didn't get this music from you. Is it still going to be coming out? Because life happens and people get busy, but you don't want a lot of resentments to stack up before you even start getting your song repertoire going. And then the real key is, every single time you have a gig, every single time you have a reason to get together to do something, be it recording or whatever, you always build in rehearsal time. So you land the day before or 2 days before and you get everything worked out. Now, anything you can do remotely, you do remotely. So the stuff you do when you're together is just the stuff when you're together. You don't talk about t-shirt colors, like wardrobe stuff, you get photos and you send them to each other. You figure everything else out so that when you're together, you can really focus on bonding, connecting, and of course, working on that group harmony, the phrasing, the sound of all of you together in the room together. So that is absolutely essential. And so you should know there are kind of two different kinds of remote groups that exist. One are the groups that were formed remotely and exist remotely, like the amazing pop jazz ensemble, more jazz than pop, Accent. Fantastic musicians. Many of them are music directors in their own right, which is a huge plus for having a group like this. The more musically experienced and knowledgeable the members are, the more they're going to be able to be on top of their music, show up with it memorized, and also make a lot of decisions that they know are kind of smart and going to work well for the rest of the members of the group. When they get together, they rehearse, and their style of music is a close harmony jazz sound and style that's really straightforward, and so they're able to focus on and link up their fine-tuning of the blend when they're together. But a lot of the choices, like how are we going to phrase these things, how is this all going to work, the density of the harmonics and all that, that's stuff that they know from their music educations and from having sung in other vocal jazz groups. So all that works. The other kind of groups that are remote are ones that existed initially together. So we're talking about Take 6, we're talking about Rockapella, we're talking about my own group, the House Jacks. We started together, we built a sound, we built a style, and then over time, I want to live in New York because I've got kids now and my family's back there. Okay, move to New York, no problem. So then we had people living on both coasts and living in different places. Fly together, rehearse up as you need to, and everything else we took care of remotely. And once you've got a sound developed and a style, think about Rockapella, those members can be wherever they are. They fly together for the tour, you get there a day early, polish up the last little bits of movement and sound and whatever, and you're off to the races, which absolutely makes this work well. What I will say though is, it's a little more difficult to have a remote ensemble work if you're kind of doing this casually like Weekend Warriors, but it still can happen. What you want to think about is, what are your goals for this group? You're not going to be putting together an entire Fiji and Australia tour, right? If you're just doing this on the weekends and you don't have all these agents and contacts over there and a huge presence. So what can you do that's satisfying? Well, of course you can enjoy each other's company, but the music you're going to be making, if it's primarily remote in its entirety, is really more recording and shooting videos. But there are some groups that still do this. And like if you talk about accent, they definitely got their start making videos, and those videos were them in those little Zoom boxes. You know what I'm talking about? And that's okay. So if you've got a group of people who love singing and they want to sing together, and they can record themselves and one member mixes it together, and they can shoot their own video and another member mixes it all together, I mean, you got something going there, which is a lot of fun. Now, when you're doing that kind of remote stuff though, you really want to be thinking about the fact that every person has a good enough quality, camera phone and a nice stand they can put it on. Maybe you get one of those nice green drops behind if you want to have different backgrounds, and you want to take a little time to think about the concept and the creativity of what you're going to do with your videos if you're going to be remote, because people have seen so many of these Zoom videos. But just remember that a great idea is always free. So if you come up with some cool things that you can do around how it's going to be structured, then there's a lot more that can happen. And with music video editing software nowadays, boxes can move and people can come in and out of frame and focus, and all kinds of cool stuff can happen. In fact, there was a really cool one by New York Voices that pulled in Kevin Fox or whatever, where they did the amazing Antonio Carlos Show Beam tune. Anyway, bottom line, let me wrap it all up by just saying you can do it. It's going to take a little more work on your own, and it won't be as satisfying as being together in the room at the same time. But don't let that stop you. If you want to make remote a cappella, you can make remote a cappella. And you can make that transition from being all remote all the time to starting to get gigs if you do it right and you get the right people together in your group. But bottom line, if you're singing together, your life is fuller, so it's already better. Anyway, any thoughts about this, any personal experiences you have, anything you want to share about remote a cappella, please do in the comments below, and we'll get a little conversation going there so you can get some tips and pointers and all of that. And bottom line, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can find people to sing with, and I look forward to clicking like on your videos. See you next time.